Hello, my name's Matt Otwell and this is the first video in a series entitled The 40-Year Home Studio Build. I'm standing here in my studio and over the coming weeks I'm hoping that we can share our journeys towards building our dream studios. I'm going to start today by talking about my guitar rig and how I record guitars, and then over the coming weeks I'll produce videos that go through all the different areas of the studio, including the microphone preamplifiers and analog to digital conversion. I'll talk about the effects processors, I'll talk about the dynamics, compression and EQ, then the workstation area, and finally the synthesizers and keyboards. I'll talk in general about how the analog and digital are all interconnected, and of course the actual physical wiring that's in the studio too. Today though, we're going to start with the guitar rig, so let's get going. I've been an amateur guitar player for many years, and first I brought combo amplifiers because they seem to be the most flexible thing. Obviously the amplifier and the speaker is built into the same cabinet and you can take those out and play live, but I never play live, so over the years I realised there are a couple of disadvantages. And one is that in order to record a combo amplifier you need to have them in a separate room, and that's true for heads and cabs as well. But then if you want to alter the tone you have to keep running in backwards and forwards to that room where the guitar amplifier is being mic'd up and change the controls in there, and that's very difficult if you've got a home studio and you're recording on your own. And so soon it dawned on me that the best idea is to have a couple of amplifier cabinets in another room, run the wires through to the control room, this studio room here, and have the heads in here where I could control them, put a microphone onto the cabinet and of course monitor it through my monitoring system. I was in a small house, so I built an isolation box, and there are some plans for the isolation box on the Project Studio Handbook website, but this is it. Now I have this problem where I have a number of amplifiers that I brought over the years, and they're valve amplifiers. Now with the valve amplifier you may know that you need to turn them on and let them warm up a little bit, and you absolutely cannot run them without them being connected to a cabinet. So I found this amazing device called the Kahayn selector, and what it allows you to do, it allows you to connect up to 8 amplifier heads and 4 cabinets to it, and then to switch between them. So you can turn all of your amplifiers on and immediately switch between the amplifiers to decide which one you're going to use. It's the most transformative bit of gear I've ever bought in the studio. It was expensive, so it's not something I could have afforded when I first started out, but now I absolutely love it. And I've got 8 amplifier heads, I think. I might have 7 or 8 amplifier heads, and I've got 3 or 4 cabinets. I actually use just one, which is in my isolation box, which is a Fender bass breaker cabinet. It's a 1x12 cab. Now let me just give you an overview of the setup here. First of all, there's a pedal board here which is in front of the amplifiers. So the guitars go into this pedal board here, and the output of the pedal board goes into the Kahayn selector. Then that signal can be routed to any of the amplifiers and then to any of the cabinets. So this is in front of the amplifier. So of course this has got boost pedals, compression pedals and drive pedals. There's a volume pedal and a wah-wah pedal too down there. Oh, and a little looper pedal that I play about with sometimes. Now one of the problems of having this setup, and any setup, is that these individual amplifiers have effects loops, and there are some pedals that you want to put in your effect loop. That's after the preamplifier. So here's my second pedal board up here, and that contains all the effects that you will normally put after the preamplifier and before the power amplifier. So here we've got some delays and of course some time domain effects like phasing and flanging and chorus. There's a tremolo pedal and there's an octave pedal up there. Now we've got a problem, is each one of these heads has got an effects loop in it. Well, most of them have. Actually the Fender Dulux Reverb doesn't. And I need to be able to plug that into whatever head I'm using. And my solution was simply to use a patch bay up there. So I have the effects loops of all my amplifiers on that patch bay coming out of the amplifier into the patch bay, then back from the patch bay into the amplifier, and I can plug that pedal board into any amp that I'm currently using. If I'm not using the amplifier, I just simply do a short patch from the input to the output to make sure that the effect loop is complete if the amplifier doesn't have an effect loop button. And I think I'm right in saying it's just my Marshall JVM is the only one with an effect loop button. So let's just follow the signal path from the guitar output jack. A regular guitar lead, comes into the pedal board that's in front of the amplifier. This is the one with the drive and the boost pedals. The output of that goes into the Kahayn selector. I choose an amplifier head. This signal goes into that amplifier head. If I'm using the effect loop in that amplifier, this signal comes out into the patch bay. I route that into my effects loop pedal board, out of the effects loop pedal board back into the patch bay, out of the patch bay and back into the effect loop return jack of the amplifier. It then goes to the power amplifier section of the amplifier, out of that into the Kahayn selector, and then I can choose the cabinet I want to use. Out of the Kahayn selector, a speaker cable runs to the cabinet, in this case the isolation box. The cabinet is of course mic'd up. That signal from the microphone comes back into a microphone preamplifier, and from the microphone preamplifier it goes into an analog to digital converter, and from the analog to digital converter it goes and gets recorded in my DAW software. Now that sounds like quite a journey, but it is actually very effective and very efficient, and there's very little signal loss in any of it, and it is the most amazing flexible way to record guitars. I can stand here with my guitar and switch immediately, comparing different amplifiers and settings and pedals, knowing that that signal is being routed to my DAW at any one time. I've not demoed the gear much in this video, but if you want to hear the sounds I created with this rig, they're all over my new album, I Is Keen. I'll link that and the videos here, and you'll find it on my website, mattotwell.com, and of course on all the streaming services. I'm going to be back in a few weeks' time with a video about microphone preamplifiers. Meanwhile, if you want to get a notification of that next video, usual stuff, subscribe, like and click the bell, and I will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks very much for watching.